Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Millionaires Are Made, where we believe that you can become a millionaire in all six aspects of health. Yes, that is right. We do episodes on your physical health, your mental health, social health, spiritual health, financial health, but today we're going to focus on your intellectual health. We are doing our show on the topic of math, intellectual health, and mathematics, all the fun stuff that everyone says is required for the rest of your life. We're going to find out if everyone agrees. If you've never seen Millionaires Are Made, this is a show built on the fundamental belief that every person that you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to learn from everyone in this big, beautiful world. In the spirit of authenticity, me, the host, I don't learn about tips or advice before the show starts. So these three guests all are going to come give you advice about their own life journey and their own walks. Have no bias or persuasion from me. We like to keep it as real and authentic as possible. So we may have a very interesting show about math and its need or lack thereof in your life. Audience, we love you so much. Please, please, please comment and ask questions. We love asking questions live. Thank you again for watching our show. You help us keep it going and sharing knowledge with the entire world. On that note, I would love to go ahead and shout out some of our audience members and our followers. So on Facebook, Cam Knight, thank you for following. We love you so much. Instagram, Tammy Brunson, shout out to you. TikTok, the Keep Hope Alive podcast. Go check it out. And on YouTube, Jamie Cook, you're amazing. I would also love to take this time to shout out two of our premier sponsors. We've got Silver Fox Fitness. Amazing Bob. 30 years of teaching fitness at his local YMCA, but now he's going bigger and better than ever. He is blogging and shares all of his knowledge on how to stay fit and mobile for a long, happy life. Go check out his website right now, Silver Fox Fitness. They're amazing. Go check out Bob and all his information. Our second one is InstaFarm. Dun, 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 dun. Awesome way to grow fresh, nutritious produce at home effortlessly. I literally fill that tank once a week and have awesome microgreens all day, every day. I do literally no work with it. That link's being dropped below. It's super awesome. Definitely recommend checking it out. Whew. And if you ever want to be a guest on our show, it's so easy. I know you have something to share. I know that you have an expertise in some area. Just check us out. The link's being dropped right now, millionairesaremade.com. Click the guest link and sign up to be a guest, and we'll have you on our show and learn everything you have to share. If you're going through life right now and it's a little bit of a struggle, maybe your finances aren't there, your physical health ain't there, spiritually you feel lost, let us know. We need new topic ideas all the time, and we would love to hear you're going through and find three guests that have a tip on how to help you through it. And as always, if you like what we do, please send your stars or likes or shares, subscribes, however you're watching us. Helps us keep going and keeps us motivated to keep sharing all the information we can to everyone in the world. As much as you may love this show with three guests, we do have, if you want a one-on-one with me, I offer free coaching. I love giving back, and I will just teach you everything I learned from my guests over the years. That link's being dropped right now. Feel free to sign up and get a little one-on-one growth session with me. And without further ado, who's ready to talk about math? We're going to bring our first guest out. Her name is Amber. Amber, who are you?
Hey everyone, I'm Amber Trusick. I'm a professional day trader, business owner, and author. If you want to learn a little bit more about me, you can go to ambertrusick.com.
Awesome. Her link's dropped right now as well. Amber, day trader. I wonder if you use math with that. Must have some intellectual health.
Every day.
If I wanted to improve my intellectual health with math, what's a tiny piece of advice that you would give me?
I want to keep it simple today. I want you to know your numbers, meaning I want you to know your cash flow personally and professionally. If you're able to know your numbers, you're going to be able to hit and achieve your goals.
Got to know your numbers, your cash flow. How do you find your cash flow?
Simple. I like to tell people to create a budget. Most people actually don't have a budget that they know what's going in or what's coming out. And a lot of times that hinders them on what they want to do in life and how they prepare for the future. So, very simple. You can do it in a Google Sheet, but just write down everything that you have coming into your account and everything that you have going out. and then compare it month over month to see how well you did. A lot of people are going to find out, wow, I'm spending money on stuff that I didn't even know. Let's cut that out, or let's look at all the expenses that you have and see if you can minimize those to regain your targets so you can put money in other places that will work for you.
All right, we're talking about budget, which is definitely math, but this is a way that there's budgeting tools that you can use that kind of automate the math. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton of tools out there. I
So
like,
if
though, to
you
use a Google Sheet. Add, subtract. If you can add and subtract, you have a calculator, it's physical, it's tangible. When you actually know your numbers and you physically are writing them down, it makes you have ownership of it.
and Google Sheets also has math built in. So if you're not good at math, you just have to know the pattern of how math works in order to have it work for you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Amber, where on your life journey did you learn this information? And how did you become a day trader?
Yeah. So professionally, money has always been something at the forefront and something I very much keep an eye on, because if you ask anyone what they want in life, the key to it is being able to get to where you want to go, and that's money. And for me, you ask a lot of people if they want to be successful, and you ask, well, are they want to quit their job? You and say, hey, well, how much money do you need to do that? And they're like, I think $1 million. Well, yeah, you think actually, if you know your numbers and what you need to get to and what you're spending, you can actually do it a lot faster and scale. And how I became a day trader is I have a finance and accounting background, and really fell in love when I was going through my MBA on why the markets move up and down, and did some digging on that and fell in love with day trading and understanding how to do technical analysis. And in 2023, I actually quit my full-time role. I had my own consulting company and started day trading full-time.
How many hours a day do you trade?
Good question. So the prep for that is, it really depends. I'm constantly preparing for the trade, but I'm only trading for a half an hour to an hour every day. And I make my full day salary plus some in that time.
All
Well,
right.
full day salary, 2080 hourly. So if you do the math, but
Are you doing your own personal funds, or do you have a fund that people invest into?
good question. No, I only do my personal funds, but that is something that, I have been asked quite a few times that I might put in the pipeline.
Very cool. Any last minute tips on intellectual health and math before we move on to the next guest?
I would say if you're scared of math, don't be scared of math. It's the best thing for you.
Use AI to teach you math.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome, Amber. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Michelle next and see what her thoughts on math are. Hey, Michelle, tell us, who are you?
Hey, my name is Michelle Steiner. I live in Pennsylvania with my husband Ron and our two cats, Jack and Sparrow. I work as a paraeducator in a school for students who have disabilities and some who don't. I am also a writer, a speaker, and photographer, and you can find me at my blog, mrsmichellesmission.com.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Michelle. All right. I've got a question for you. If I wanted to improve my intellectual health with math, what piece of advice would you give me?
Well, I have a different take on math. I have dyscalculia, which actually is a math learning disability.
Say that
So
again
learning how
louder.
sure, I have dyscalculia,
Okay.
which is a math learning disability. So for me, learning math has always been a challenge for me. And I do not have the solution that is going to work for everybody to be able to understand that.
Perfect.
I don't. All I can do in my life is look for ways that I've had to do this my whole life, is just ways that I can compensate. Whenever I was in school and I was diagnosed as a very young child, we had specialty instruction in all areas, but math was the one I never got out of or was very successful with that. And I have to find different ways to be able to do things. I can't read the face of a clock.
Oh, wow.
And so I have to use my Fitbit, or I use a digital watch. I confuse my right from my left. So I cannot tell you what shoe I'm putting on in the morning. So I have to figure that part out. I also will use a tip calculator if I am out trying to do a tip. When I was in college, we did a number of different things to solve the math problem because that was a big worry for me, and it was for other people. I was told by a psychiatrist I would most likely not go beyond community college, and I was told by a learning support teacher that I could not even go to college. So that was a really big factor of using accommodations for me. I did a math waiver for one time at community, and that was fine. That worked. And then at university, I did a philosophy-based math course. This was on the advice of somebody from a math department that wanted to play a chess game with me. And I swear it was the shortest chess game in history. And he looked me dead in the eye and said, "You need to go take a philosophy-based math course." And the professor knew I was really trying. And we used a lot of accommodations, calculator usage, extended test time. Having the test read aloud to me was another one that we did, a note taker. And then and then when I go to work in a school, I have to advocate for myself. I have to tell everybody, especially if it's a new person I'm working with, I cannot help you with math. And all the kids know that, or they soon will find out that I cannot help them with math, but I can help them out with English and other things.
So let me ask you this. Especially nowadays, there's a lot of tools that can help you. But for you, do you find that you try to focus more on trying to learn math, or do you find ways to avoid math and just like maybe use AI or computers to do the math that you need for you?
Right. A lot of times we'll find like with AI to do that, or for example, I was doing freelance work for somebody and I could not get Excel to work for me for my life because I can't understand the process of it. And luckily my boss was like, okay, go into Word, get whatever you can do. Just make sure that comes, make sure you can make, your invoice for the hours that you're working. And we were able to work around that. And my husband is great for that too. I was like, okay, show me something that doesn't involve numbers that I can do numbers.
That's hard to find.
Right, but luckily she was okay with a really simple invoice that go into Word, put down how many hours I worked, and we were able to work that problem out. It was a lot better than being in tears every single time I had to do an invoice. That really helped out a lot. So I do look for ways that I can find that, but I also have found a lot of other ways to compensate because it's just amazing. Every time they put me in a math class, my brain doesn't get stronger in the math. It's like it goes stronger on English and reading. So what we really try to do, it's like it's missing the target. So for me, either avoidance is better or just finding a different way. And there's also a really interesting way that I can understand the relationship though with math, because if I'm in the store, you hand me a credit card or a debit card, I have no idea how much money I'm spending. But if you give me $20, I can give you a range on what I'm spending on because I can see the numbers, I can see the dollars, and I have to be able to have a tangible way to see something. If I don't, it's too abstract.
All right. So if any producers are watching, we need to make a movie where Michelle and Amber switch roles for a day. That would be interesting to watch.
Yeah, that certainly would be.
Certainly would be. Awesome, Michelle. We've got another minute. Where on your life journey? You told us a lot about it. Where was the moment you learned that you had this issue? I assume when you were young and someone was trying to teach you some algebra or something.
I learned whenever I was in kindergarten. It was really evident whenever I was very young that I had a disability. And they recommended for my parents to get tested. And at that time, they didn't give a specific diagnosis of it. And it still isn't considered a specific diagnosis. It's a number of symptoms. But they knew when I was 5 or 6, I was not going to be a mathematician. So that is when I figured that out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. What an interesting story. We'll bring you back out for the round robin. We're going to move on to our next guest now. One of our favorite guests, been on the show a few times. We've got Jen. Jen, tell us who you are.
Hi, I am Jen Fredericks. I am a prosilience coach and a personal resilience practitioner. I live in Milwaukee with my husband, daughter, and cat, and I love to support caregivers and chronic illness patients to really navigate the marathon of chronic illness with some joy.
With some joy. I still love that you're a prosilience coach. That's one of my favorite words. I love it.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit where that word came from. How'd you come up with prosilience?
I can't take credit for it. I wish I could. An organizational industrial psychologist named Linda Hoops has been studying resilience for 30 years, and she developed the framework of prosilience, proactive resilience. And so I've studied with Linda and use that framework to support, like I said, chronic illness patients and their caregivers to build their proactive resilience for the turbulency of living with chronic illness.
Awesome. All right. Well, I've got a very important question for you, Jen.
Yeah.
If I wanted to improve my intellectual health with math, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Go easy on yourself.
Ooh, go easy on yourself. All right.
Yeah,
that might be good advice for almost anyone in any subject, but we'll stick to math for this one.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that piece of advice.
You know, I've never liked math. I've never been particularly good at math. And I always let that kind of determine my worth in school and helped me see that I thought I wasn't intelligent because I couldn't, like, when I had to do a word problem and I was reading it in my head, all I heard was the teacher from the Peanuts cartoons. And you're like, wah, 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 wah. I'm like, oh my God, I can't. So I have always thought that, like, I hate math. I don't want to do it. I'm never going to be a mathlete. I understand how to do it. So go easy on yourself. It does not define your worth. I'm going to throw another one in there. 2, use the tools that are available to us now. Like, I can cook, I can do recipes. I may need to use my husband's brain or a calculator. And then, have you ever heard about the math that doesn't involve any numbers?
Like imaginary numbers or algebra?
Nope. No numbers at all.
Well, I mean, we use letters in algebra, but tell me more about no number math.
Multiply love,
Okay.
add hope, subtract fear, and division. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, I can get behind this kind of math.
My degree didn't cover that, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm the opposite. Math was always easy. I would ace every test, never do homework. If they graded on homework, I'd like try to do it 2 minutes before class started.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I have a degree in math, and I think I took like 2 courses in college because all my high school paid. I did all AP and stuff. So math has always been super easy, but also it fed the shit out of my ego for a while.
I dropped out of trig in high school, and then I went. And then I was in theater for my undergraduate degree, and I loved it, right? Because I didn't have to do any math until I added public relations to my major. And then I had to do like econ and micro and macro economics, and there were numbers. I'm like, oh my gosh. So there I got extra help. And there I tried to look at it from different perspectives of how can I make this make sense in my life and for me.
One of our viewers just sent me a riddle. I can't answer riddles in the middle of a show. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jen. We're going to bring everyone else out. And actually, we'll ask this riddle up front. We'll see if Amber can answer it. So I don't have to think. All right, Amber, Michelle, how are you guys? All right. We've got our first riddle. Amber, I'm hoping you can hold on to this one. Silver Fox is going to riddle us right off the bat. If a hen and a half... How do you have a half a hen? What are we talking about here? I don't know how that works. Lay an egg and a half in a day and a half. How many eggs will half a dozen? This is just like a nursery rhyme. How many eggs will half a dozen hens lay in half a dozen days?
Can we have half a hen? Is it a trick question? I mean,
I'm wondering if it's a trick question because
it's a
I'm
trick
like
question,
a hen and a half.
Is it like
all right.
multiplying by 0? Is it like hen and a half
Yeah,
doesn't
there you
exist?
go.
So I don't know.
Like, okay, so this doesn't have any numbers in it. Like I said, word problems in me are like wah, 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 like no numbers. And I'm still like, so maybe my problem isn't with math. Maybe it's with thinking through riddles.
So it'd be like 1.5 hens or 1.5x lay an egg. So they produce 1.5 eggs in a day and a half. So you can turn it into numbers to just give different variables to it.
Again, my mind is just like.
Are you trying it, Amber?
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, I mean, we could definitely whiteboard it out. I could take down the green screen, but I think in terms of all of this, like after hearing Jen and Michelle talk, math is just about problem solving. And you don't have to be great at math to be a great problem solver. I mean, Michelle is a testament to that. Like,
Yeah.
awesome, Michelle. Like, I couldn't imagine being in your shoes and being able to share your story. That's incredible. And Austin, yes,
Yeah.
I think there should be a movie like Trading Spaces.
Freaky Friday, but it could be like
a day
Math
trader
Monday.
that no longer has
Yeah.
to do math. That would be. I would watch it. Of course, there's gonna
I
have to
would
be some
cry.
romance in there somehow because that's all movies nowadays. But I would definitely be highly entertained by that.
Yeah.
Does Silver Fox have an answer?
Yeah, just
Let's see, Silver Fox, you got an answer? Well, let's
your
guess
answer.
first. Let's take a guess. 0.5.
all right.
Damn.
Let me get a
Yeah.
paper.
And with half a dozen hens laid.
I've got my answer. We'll see what you guys all come up with. And Michelle and Jen, feel free to take a stab at it. We'll see if Silver Fox can stump us all.
I'm gonna keep my answer in my head.
Idea.
Like literally, this makes no sense to me. It's
For me, though, I did
incredible.
convert it into numbers. So I have
Okay.
1.5x equals 1.5. Like I turn it into an equation. I take the words out of it. Amber, you got an answer?
I'm just gonna say 36.
36. Jen, you got an answer?
I was gonna say 6. I don't know.
All right, Michelle, do you have an answer?
I don't.
All right, Silver Fox, what do you got? Do you tell? He'll come back. Tell us
Austin,
the
what's
riddle
your
at some
answer?
point. I think it's 6. I mean, I'm going a hen. I mean, we're wasting so much time on heads.
We are. But the funny thing is I just
it is.
I just went into just like that intuitive. Okay, give me an answer, and 6 is what came up. So I'm gonna be like,
Oh, you just randomly guessed.
I randomly guessed.
Oh, I love it.
No, I
love
didn't
it.
randomly guess. I was guided by my intuition.
So you have a spiritual health math going in, like
I
yeah,
do.
vision math.
Help
I would
me.
say play the lottery. That's a great.
Play- yeah.
Right.
You
I
get
might.
that
Yeah,
intuition,
that's
play
true.
the lottery.
All right, so let's real quick go over. Let's go over Jen. What was your Amber? You were first. Sorry, Amber. Can you quickly
okay.
refresh what your tip was for us?
Absolutely. And that's understanding your cash flow, your numbers.
All right, Michelle. What are your
24.
thoughts on that?
I think that is important if you do know that, like with your numbers, and if you can definitely understand that and to be able to find out what your goals are.
Jen, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. And I actually recently just started really doing this as a solopreneur, I'll say.
Mhm.
And I use tools, I use Google Sheets.
Mhm.
I use all of those types of things until I have a place where I can outsource that. I'm comfortable doing it that way. And I just really, really got serious about it within the last year. So I agree with that.
All right, we have an answer. He says it's 24. So if you increase both the number of hens and the amount of time available fourfold, so 1.5, a hen and a half becomes 6. So you multiply that. And then the number of time is 1.5 days becomes 6, right? The number of eggs increases 16 times. 16 times 1.5 is 24. But see, I was doing the rates. So you have 1.5 equals 1.5 equals 1.5, right? 1.5 hens in 1.5 days and 1.5 eggs. So if you have 1.5 on all of those, that would equal 1, 1, 1. 1 hen equals 1 egg equals 1 day. So then you multiply that out by half a dozen hens and half a dozen days. That'd be 6 hens, 6 days. I don't know.
Well,
I'll
if you
have
look
to-
at it this way, though, I said 36, you said 6, Michelle or Jen said 6, so that's 12. So 12 minus 36, or 36 minus
see?
12 is 24.
It's
So
just
we
math.
actually got it right. We just got
Yeah,
it.
it's just math, Silver Fox. It's just math. We did it, okay?
Do the math, Silver
Do the
Fox.
math.
All right, here we go. Oh, this is a great question. Let's try this one out. And we definitely have some good guests for this. All right, Silver Fox stumped us. We're moving on to Lilith. Lilith, what strategies can help me overcome math anxiety?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I have some on this. And
I
I'm
had
sure.
a feeling.
Yeah. So I already mentioned it once. Like, be gentle with yourself.
Okay.
Know that whether or not you have math come naturally to you, it doesn't define your worth or your intellect. And then let's do some self-regulation techniques as you're looking at whatever math you need to do that day. So that could include just some really focused, intentional, deep breathing to bring your central nervous system back into regulation so that you can think clearly. Because if you're in anxiety, it's more difficult to think clearly and get to the end solution that you're coming up with for that math.
All right. Any other thoughts?
I think a really important thing too is I would make sure if I had a test that day in a class, I had a cup of coffee with me. I had all the accommodations I needed, and I also had a workout right before that, and that just improved my mood before that. And I also think it's important though that you have supportive people that are in your life that love you, whether you pass it, you fail the test, or you don't, and you know that everybody's behind you. Everybody knows that you're trying and you're doing your best.
All right. So a lot of communication definitely will be helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, math is not my subject. Get me a calculator.
Yes.
All right. Any other thoughts on that, or should we move on to the next tip? All right. Let's see. Let's move on to Michelle. Michelle, what can you quickly refresh what your tip was for us?
I think one of my tips is to find ways that can help you. And it's problem solving. If I can't read the face on the clock of an analog clock, then use the digital watch. It's like that. If I can't tell what shoe is my right or my left foot, put the shoe on and see is it comfortable or does it fit? And if it doesn't, okay, then I know it's the other one. And I think also is to advocate. I think that's the biggest thing in life for me is just to speak up and to let people know, because a lot of times people look at me and say, well, you have a disability. You don't look like you're disabled. So I have to really clearly tell people I have a disability and to get comfortable with that.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing I love to always say is, someone needs to hear your story. So it's like you may not be the only person out there, and sharing and telling, like being on this show right now, there could be a couple people that are like, holy shit, that's me. That's me right now. That's awesome. That's great. What are your thoughts on that tip, Amber?
I love that. I'm actually going to reserve my comments until we get to the end because I've had a lot of great observations. But I think that's a great
all right.
That's a great tip.
We'll go to Jen real quick, and then we'll hear Amber's observations like a typical math nerd. Here are my observations on the study above. All right. Jen, what are your thoughts?
I completely agree. I support a lot of people who look for accommodations, and I help them advocate for themselves, and wherever that be, whether that be in math, at work, in life. Yes, communication, advocate for yourself, problem solve for yourself, and know that needing to do that doesn't change, like I said before, does not change your worth, your intellect, any of those things. We are all made differently, and for us to just be authentically ourselves and ask for the support that we want and need, I think is the most courageous thing to do.
I love it. All right, so let's do this. We're going to take one last question from the audience, then we'll have Amber's observations, and then we'll get a daily challenge. And we got to kind of rush through it because we're running out of time, but let's do this next question from the audience from Abel. How do you not hate math when it's the only subject that counts all your mistakes?
Is there a pun in there? I feel like
I was like, who's asking this? Is
just
this
a fun.
again? That's really funny. I mean, is it a mistake or is it an opportunity to take another look at things?
Or an opportunity to grow. Yeah.
Exactly.
Great observation.
I love it. We do have actually one quick last one we're going to do just because I decided so. Is there math in love, or is it just a matter of finding the right formula to make your heart multiply? Look at this fun.
I mean, I could go back to my do the math. This falls into there, right? Multiply love, add hope, subtract fear, and end division, and then bring the relationship together.
Amber, I got to ask you this. Do you have a Google sheet for your perfect partner, or a list of men and their weighted attributes? Like, he's this smart. We put that as a 0.5 weight. We add it to the score to get the best of 10. Tell me you do. I can't be the only one.
You know, I don't for my love life, but you know, I do that for a
Oh.
lot of other things. So like I can't say no. So yeah, I do that for a lot of
All right,
things.
I'm gonna shout out. I'm not gonna say who it is, but one of my really close friends. At one point in his life, I'm not gonna say he's still doing it. He was going on dates or interested in like 20 different women, and he had a spreadsheet for all the things he looked for in each one. Like I don't know, I never looked at it. I don't know exactly what was on it, but he had a spreadsheet. I went on this date, I rated this, whatever it was. He had a big old spreadsheet about how his
Oh,
relationships were progressing.
I mean, I
And
love the intentionality of that, though.
Yeah,
like
he's
instead of
gonna
just
kill me if he sees
the
this.
swipe right or left, like no, very intentional and mindful.
Yes. All right. Quickly, we got to come up with our daily challenge. It's something that takes less than 5 minutes a day, costs $0, and is available to anyone in the world from Kathmandu to South Africa. Thoughts?
So if it, and no one minds, I'm going to go first. So out of all this, like what I've observed is it's about problem solving. And from each of the perspectives, it was stay calm, cooler minds prevail, ask for help, and then learn from the experience. So from what I gleaned from this, can we take that into a challenge? Can we make that into a challenge? What are your all thoughts?
I think we can. I think that there might be, according to the formula that Austin puts out there, right? It might be too many steps. So can we distill it down to maybe one of those things?
Let's do it.
Or are we allowed to kind of package them all as one?
As long as it fits those 3 criteria. Available to everyone, less than 5 minutes, and costs $0 because we want to be able to help everyone in the world.
I think really, Amber, I love that. And especially the fact like cooler minds prevail, right? Deep breathing can take a couple of seconds to really refocus your mind. So I think that would fit within that. Takes less than 5 minutes. It's free. We all have it.
I love
What
that.
What else can we add to that?
Michelle, what are your thoughts?
I think using your voice to advocate, like if you have an issue and looking for what solutions are out there, is definitely something to do that.
All right. So what's like a clear conclusion that we can type up and be a daily challenge that we could numerically monitor. Oh man.
Well, I mean, if we look at the question from one of the viewers about how do you support yourself with math anxiety, we can definitely say first step would be to regulate, take deep breaths, use your voice, and then problem solve. What are the things that will help you move forward in the way you want to? Right? Like those are 3 things that's available to everyone.
Yeah, like take 5 minutes a day to do deep breathing and tell yourself you got this. Something like that.
Exactly.
Okay, what else can we do that'll improve our math skills? I mean, not all of us are going to have math anxiety. I mean, a couple deep breaths takes 30 seconds.
Right.
It may get us ready for it, but we got to do something that improves our intellectual health with math. And doing math problems, I think, is boring as well.
Can we find math in our everyday life?
Oh, there we go. That's actually kind of interesting.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
See if you can find a math problem that you never thought of, or even like a word problem that you didn't really see before. That's actually super interesting. I'm like looking around, like where's numbers on my ceiling? No, I like that. That's good. Okay, let's do that. Yeah. So let's do a couple deep breaths, and maybe you just take 5 minutes and you think or you work. Maybe you have a problem. Either I haven't sent out enough resumes. How many resumes? What's my response rate? Something like that, where you turn something into math and then you realize, I just need to send out more resumes. If I send out 10 and I get 1 response, I need to send out 100 to get 10 responses. Something like that. Do you think we could do that, Michelle? Does that sound like something you can handle?
That could be something. Yeah.
Find a math problem in your life and turn it into a math problem, and then that's actually going to be. I like that a lot. All right. So let's take
I'm sad I said it because now I have to do it for the next week, right? I have to find
that's
math in
going to be a
life.
challenge for sure. But I think it's going to be really cool to find the ways that you're like, my power. Hurricanes destroy 60% of the power on the island. All right, let's figure out how to.
Yeah.
All right, take some deep breaths. Find a math problem currently in your life, because I bet it's gonna open our minds up. We're gonna see a lot more. Like, how many seconds am I at this red light? All right, multiply that out, and how much time do I waste at red lights? I know I'm already going crazy. This is gonna not be good for me.
Please update us on the
I'm already
progress.
counting how many times I'm tapping it. This is gonna be bad.
Very entertaining for us, though.
Yeah, we'll see how that one works. All right. Daily challenge is going to be take some deep breaths and let's focus, and then think about something in your life that could be converted to. There are math problems in your life. That's going to happen somewhere. Either you're reading a clock, you're counting time, something like that. But let's try to focus on and realize that we actually are solving math in our head, maybe without knowing it. Even with a disability like Michelle, still, I'm sure you're doing something. I'm watching the clock right now, knowing that we're 5 minutes over, and that is how it is. And so there's somewhere, somehow, that we are doing math. So I think identifying and knowing that we're doing math is that a good way to know that we're doing it and maybe help grow intellectual health. I think that's an awesome challenge. Yeah. All right, guys, we did it. We answered a bunch of questions. We came up with our daily challenge. Hopefully the world grows their intellectual health with math over the next week. I'm going to challenge all of you guys and tag you as well. I'm going to wrap up the show. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Hopefully it was a great time, and hopefully y'all learned a little something. Whew, that was a fun one. Well, hopefully, real quick, before we go, I gotta say hi. Thank you all for watching. Amazing questions, audience. That was a fun one. You guys have a lot of puns. That was fantastic. I do have to do a couple shout outs. First off, Sam Westfall, Army veteran of 35 years, is one of our sponsors. He founded Archery in Motion. He elevates practice with moving target platform. If you want archery or shooting things, check him out right now. His link is being dropped. He's an awesome guy. We also have Jen Gray, host of the Be Genuine with Jen podcast, which is growing super fast. You should go check out her podcast. It's amazing. Licensed life and health agent dedicated to helping small businesses and entrepreneurs thrive. She's known as the Agent with Benefits. So go check her out. And then we also have Don Gleason, who's an expert with 42 years in military and corporate roles. He empowers businesses to achieve new heights through enhanced leadership in communication, sales, and retention. Check his out right now. And we have one new sponsor this episode, Nikki Nicole, Breaking the Silence podcast. Please check her podcast out as well. It's created and founded by Nikki. Breaking the Silence aims to shine the light on everyday people and give them a place to tell their stories. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had a great show.